Hello guys. In this video we will discuss Java collection program practice and solution, and this is the video on linked list exercise third. So the first program is Java programs for iterating the linked list using for loop. So I switch to Eclipse IDE. So here firstly I created color linked list, and there are different ways to iterating linked list or collection. And in this video, I discuss different ways to iterating list or collection. So this exercise on linked list, so I discuss different ways to iterating linked list. So the first program is Java program for iterating the linked list using for loop. So here I use for loop for iterating elements one by one. For Firstly, I declare one variable I is equal to and assign 0 index, and then I is compared with size of linked list, and here color linked list is declare and compare with size. This is the condition, and I variable is increment. When value of I is less than color size, then this loop is execute and iterate one by one element from the linked list. And here I display here one by one elements. So using get method, I access element at a index. So on color linked list dot get method, and get method it accept index. So firstly value of I is 0 and is increment up to size of color. Okay, so using for loop we can iterate elements one by one. I save this program and run. Okay, so here I iterate elements one by one. Second way is using enhanced for loop. So distinguish for separation, I display here partition. I display here partition, and here I discuss second program, and second program is using enhanced for loop. So here I use enhanced for loop for, and its syntax is color linked list is a string type, so I use its data type string. And firstly for each color from color linked list. So for each color I use the name, element E colon from color linked list, and display E means each element. So using this system.out.println, I display each element from color linked list. Okay, so save this program and run. Run as a Java application. So using enhanced for loop, we can iterate elements one by one. And the third program is iterating the linked list using Iterator. Okay, so again I use the partition between them. Here I display here, and using Iterator, I use here Iterator. So on color linked list, I search for iterator method. Okay, so iterator gives iterator object, its object, and it is a this is a iterator is a universal cursor, and list iterator is specified for list interface. Okay, so firstly I use here iterator method, and iterator gives its object. So I select this and it return its object, and its generic type is string, its type is string, and I use the element is a reference. Okay, and import here iterator from java.util package. Okay, so iterator method on color link list, I use this method and it gives its object. So using while loop, I iterate one by one element. So here I check the next element has next is present or not. So on element dot has next, that means in this color linked list the next element is present or not, and if next element is present then it gives true value, otherwise false. So when next element is present then our loop then condition is true and our loop is executed. So has next, and after this condition is true, then the next this element is retrieved. So I use here element on element reference dot next element next method, and this next method gives string value. It gives string value, that means actual object it returns, and its data type is string, and for element e I use and display e. Okay, has next method check element is present or not, next element is present or not, and next method gives the this particular element. Okay, so I save this and run Java application, and here we can iterate element one by one using iterator. Similarly we can use list iterator. Okay, so the next program I will discuss here for list iterator. Here I use the message, and here I use the list iterator method. Okay, similarly we can use list iterator method here. So on color link list I use list iterator method and it also gives list iterator object. So I select this and it return its object list iterator, type is string type, and element name is reference name is ele I use, and import your list iterator, and using while loop I check here next element is present or not, using its reference as next. If has next is true then this loop is execute here, and for next element for use it element I use next method and it return string value. So I here use string e variable and display its value. Okay, so I save this and run as Java program. Okay, so using list iterator, we can iterate list iterator one by one. Okay, so the next program, firstly, I take this program, write a Java program to iterate through all elements in a linked list starting at the specific position. Okay, so here, firstly, I discuss this program. This is a forward direction. This is a has next. This is a forward direction. So for reverse order, we have to iterate in reverse order. So I use here list iterator. Using list iterator, we can iterate in both ways. So I use here method second. And in reverse direction, we can iterate linked list. So for reverse order, so here I declare this linked list list iterator. I use list iterator method. So on this list iterator method, list iterator, its reference is used here for iterating in reverse order. So I use here while loop, and on ele dot has previous element I check. If has previous element is present, then it gives true value and this loop is execute. And for accessing previous element, I use has previous method. I use here on ele element dot has previous, sorry, for previous value, for accessing previous value, I use previous method and it gives string value. So its return type is string, and I give element reference variable is e, and e is print here. So using this previous has previous and previous method, I iterate list iterator in reverse direction. So list iterator is a bidirectional. Okay, so in reverse order here, see, this is a forward direction and this is a reverse direction. So list iterator is a bidirectional. We can iterate in both direction. But this list iterator is only for list interfaces classes. Okay. So in iterator method, in iterator, so here I check this is a only forward direction. We can't use for reverse direction. So here I check for reverse direction using while loop. If method is present or not on element dot has previous is method is not present in iterator. Okay, so iterator is a universal cursor. But drawback is it is only forward direction. We cannot iterate in reverse direction. So it is a one directional. But list iterator is a both directional. We can iterate on both direction. Okay, it's a bidirectional. Okay, so the next program is linked list using for each loop. Okay, so here I iterate for linked list using for each loop. So I use the partition also here and give here for each loop, for each method I use here. Okay, so firstly I access for each method on color linked list. I use here for each and it accept consumer. Okay, so here control space and it gives string t and lambda expression. So I select this and here we can display t value. So consumer accept lambda expression. So here I use system function, display function for displaying t element. So I print here t. This symbol is lambda, symbol for lambda, and I save this and run Java application. So using for each method, here for each we can iterate one by one element. Okay, so the last program is for a specified position. Write a Java program to iterate through all elements in a linked list starting at a specified position. So this is our linked list, and we have to iterate from a particular position. So I iterate elements one by one, and from 0 index we can iterate, but I iterate from 1 index. So from specific index we can start to iterating. So I try to write a program here. So I use iterator method on color linked list dot iterator, and search for this iterator accept index. Okay, here list iterator. So list iterator accept index, and see its description. Return a linked list of the element in this list in a proper sequence starting at the specified position in the linked list. So it accepts one index, and from this index we can iterate. Okay, so this list iterator method I use here, and it returns its object. So I select this, and I can iterate. I iterate from index 1. Okay, and it gives its object. So here list iterator, it is a object, and its type is string type, and its reference I use here link list. Okay, so I use this reference, and using while loop on linked list dot has next element is present or not, next element is present or not is check condition by using has next, and if next element is present then this loop is execute, and for accessing element I use next method on linked list dot next method. Okay, so it return element string value. So I use its return type here string e is equal to, and print this e. Okay, so here I iterate from index 1. So I save this and run Java program. So firstly I have to give partition for separation. For specific index, specified index. Okay, so I save this and run as Java program. So I check its output, So pink is a second for its index is 1. So from this one index we can iterate element. Okay, so in this way we can iterate linked list different ways for iterating linked list. So if you like this video, then please like and share.